Hello everyone, it's Stephanie Ponteau. Welcome back to class. This is the Wednesday, May 13th class. This is part 3. We are continuing on in Unit 9. Yay! And we are in Lesson C today. And this is page 114 in your student book. So what we're going to do today, the focus for Lesson C, and we'll be continuing Lesson C in our next class as well. But for today, Lesson C focuses on which questions and the simple past. Let me get out of the way so you can see. Yes, okay. So which questions in the simple past, and we're going to ask for and make recommendations. And we're going to use descriptive adjectives. So recommendations, that's a word I'm going to write up here. You might want to write this in your notebook to practice. Recommendations. Recommendations. That's 5 syllables. So that word is a mouthful. You say something is a mouthful when it's a lot to say, or it can be challenging to say. So recommendation. So recommendation. Okay, that's how you say that word. Alrighty, so I'm going to leave that there for a few seconds so you can write it. Recommendation. When you make a recommendation, you are giving someone a suggestion. Okay? It's a suggestion. It's an opinion. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover today. Remember, what was her name? On page 110. Let's just browse back at page 110 really quick. Okay, remember this scene, Stella. Yeah, remember Stella? She had some problems going on in her kitchen, right? So, I want to ask you a question. Which problem was the biggest? She had a few problems going on. She had, well, actually 2 appliance problems. The dishwasher was leaking and the washing machine had bubbles coming out of it, right? Which problem was the worst? I would say maybe the dishwasher because it was more water. Which child looks the happiest? There are 3 children there, right? I would say little Pablo. Remember him? Who was playing in the bubbles? I would say Pablo looks the happiest, right? And the reason I turned back to that page is so you could hear us use which. And that's one of the things we're going to be going over. Which questions in the simple past. So you use which when you are having to choose between more than one thing. When you're making a recommendation and you're choosing between more than one thing. So anyway, I just wanted to go back to the previous lesson so you could see how we would use which to ask questions about that as well. Okay. As always, I want to recommend that you listen to this. This is the animated grammar chart where there's pictures and words. So what I want to recommend that you do is pause the video and watch this because these are always really good quick lessons for what we're going to go over. So pause the video, listen to that, and then come back. All right. So remember which, well, let's just read the chart because it's here. Page 114, exercise 1, grammar focus. Which questions and simple past. So you use which to ask a question about a choice between two or more things. Okay, it's a choice between two or more things. So let's say if I didn't show you, if I had these two pieces of paper, one is pink and one is a very light blue, and I said, which color do you like the best? You would tell me pink or blue. Which? So that was a which question. If I asked you, what color do you like the best? I'm not giving you a choice. It's a broad question because it's all the colors, of all the colors in the world, what do you like? So that's the difference. Which, when you're choosing between things, a specific things when you're choosing between specific things. Which, if I had two dresses, which dress do you like? If I asked you a more broad question, what style dresses do you like? There are so many styles of dresses. But if I was asking you to pick between a few, then you would use which. So I hope that helps. Because you do have to decide when to use which or what. But in this exercise, we're going to practice with what, okay? So let's go back to the grammar chart. Questions. Which plumbing service do you recommend? I recommend Purdy's Plumbing. Which plumbing service does he recommend? He recommends Purdy's Plumbing. Which plumbing service do they recommend? They recommend Purdy's Plumbing. So everybody likes Purdy's Plumbing, huh? Okay, and so before we do the exercise, exercise 2 on page 114, I just wanted to remind you of a couple of grammar rules. Now, when you're asking questions in the simple present, you want to use the helping verb do and does. This is going to help you when we get started with this exercise. The helping verbs do and does you want to use when when we're asking questions in the simple present, and remind you when to use do versus does. You're going to use do with personal pronouns with I, you, we, and they, and with plural noun forms. So just write these rules in your notebook. And a plural noun would be like a noun that is for more than one thing, like children would be a plural noun because the word children is more than one child. So like that. That's just an example. And then for does, you would use does with he, she, it. And singular nouns. And you'll see, this will make sense when we do some of the sentences. But I just write this rule, write these grammar rules down in your notebook. So Do with I, you, we, they, and plural nouns. Oops, I spelled plural wrong. PL. Okay, and then does you would use with he, she, it, and singular nouns like child would be a singular noun. Okay, so let's jump into the exercise and see. All right, so let's read the culture note as well. Plumbers and electricians are usually licensed, and usually means most often or regularly, or the norm. Something that's usual is like the norm. Okay, but they're usually licensed, and you can ask to see their license. And when a repair person is licensed, that means that they have done testing to get that license, and that proves that they have the skills and they have had professional training to do what they do. So you want people who come to your home and do repairs to be licensed. It's very important. So we've got two ads here. We've got two plumbing services. So let's just look at those ads. So I'm just going to ask you a question or two about these plumbing services because we're trying to make decisions based upon these guys. So who is licensed? Yep, Browns. If you look at the third, one, two, three, the third bullet down in their ad, you see it says license. Okay, who is the most expensive? Harrison's. They're $100 an hour. Brown's is $50 an hour. Okay, excuse me. Ooh, sorry about that. Okay, so who has the most experience? Yes, Harrison's does. The last bullet in their ad shows that they have 30 years of experience and Brown's only has 15 years of experience. Okay, so those are the two ads. All right, so now let's go ahead and start exercise A. Complete the conversations. Use which and the simple present. Okay, and the first one they've done for us, number one, which plumbing service do you recommend? Do and you. And so you want to recommend the cheaper one. So you see it says cheaper. I recommend Brown's plumbing service because it's cheaper. And we just talked about that. Okay, number two. He and recommend are the words. So the question there would be, which plumbing service, okay, if he is the pronoun, is it he? Do he recommend or does he? Yep, so it's does he recommend. I'm just going to abbreviate recommend with REC, okay? Okay, you can't read that very well, okay? And the answer is, so number two, we're looking for fast. Who's the fastest? All right, who's faster? Well, Harrison says in their ad that they're fast. So I will answer that, number two, with he recommends Harrison's because it's cheaper. All right, number three, they and recommend. Which plumbing service do they recommend? Okay, I'm going to fix my sentence. Okay, that looks really bad. All right, let me rewrite this. Which Yeah, that's much better. Which plumbing service do they recommend? And I'm going to abbreviate recommend because it's so long. Okay? Which plumbing service do they recommend? And that's number 3. We're looking for the one that's licensed. You see number 3? Where it has they and recommend, and then the answer, we want to recommend them based on having a license. Okay, so which plumbing service do they recommend? So you can see the grammar rule. And the answer is, who's licensed? Browns. So they recommend Browns because it's licensed. All right. Number 4, which plumbing service, and it's she. So do we want to say, yep, does she? So you want to use does. Does she recommend? Okay. And we're recommending based on them being insured. So who's insured? Browns. So your answer for B would be, she recommends Browns because it's insured. All right. And number 5. So we got they and recommend. And then experience is the thing. Okay. So which plumbing service do they recommend? See? With they, you use do. All right. So remember, don't forget, write this in your notebook so you can study that, so you can remember, do you need to use the helping verb do or does when you're asking a question? All right. And then number 6, the last one, he and recommend. So which plumbing service, where is he? Right there. So we use does. Does he recommend? So that's the answer to that's the question, number 6. And then we're making our recommendation based on someone who's open 24 hours. So which plumber is open 24 hours? Yep, look at Harrison's. The second bullet, it says open 24 hours a day. So B, the answer to the question would be, he recommends Harrison's because it's open 24 hours a day. And remember, you use because when you're giving a reason for something. So all of these answers, we had because we were giving the reason that we were making that recommendation. Okay? So the next thing we were supposed to do, if we were together, we were going to listen to the audio, then practice with a partner. So you can listen to the audio. You can use your QR scanner to listen to that and practice with someone at home. All right, so that is it. And this is the part 3 of our lesson for Wednesday, May 13th. And I'll see you in the next class. Take care. Have a wonderful day and stay safe.